daughter, show some respect to the master. Put your phone away. This time, Mr. Liu had paid $50,000 to consult Master Jinzhen. During their conversation, he hung on her every word, wishing he could jot down every syllable, but he never imagined that a single comment from his daughter back home would shatter his faith entirely. What? A revered master like her could be that kind of person. Chapter 1. A Mysterious Night. It was an ordinary night in the year 2000. Outside Siyuan Temple in Chongqing, the air was thick with fog, so dense you could barely see 5 feet ahead. Jing Zhen, then a 28-year-old nun, stood silently at the temple's entrance. Who is that woman? Whispered a group of young nuns huddled together inside. She's got to be someone important, right? Just look at her. Another chimed in. Before anyone could reply, a shrill cat's yell pierced the air, sending chills down their spines. The nuns fell silent, their eyes darting toward the temple gates. What's going on? The abbess demanded, hurrying over at the sound of the commotion. Something's coming, Jing Zhen said softly, her eyes glinting in the dim light. As she spoke, a shadowy figure emerged from the fog, creeping closer. The nuns paled, their hands trembling, unsure where to turn. What is that? A young nun stammered, her voice shaking. Without a word, Jing Zhen stepped forward. Her hands traced slow, deliberate arcs through the air as she began chanting secret verses. The temple's lanterns flickered wildly, as if responding to her voice. Stand back, she commanded sharply, her tone leaving no room for hesitation. The nuns scrambled backward, hearts pounding. The shadow was nearly at the gate now, bringing with it an eerie chill that seemed to swallow the temple whole. Jing Zhen closed her eyes, her chants growing steadier. A faint golden glow shimmered around her fingertips. Suddenly, she uttered, Amitabha, her voice calm but resonant, echoing through the temple grounds. In an instant, the golden light flared like lightning, shattering the shadow into nothingness. Jing Zhen opened her eyes, her expression as serene as ever, as if the incident was trivial. The temple is under the Buddha's protection. There's no need to fear, she said calmly to the shaken nuns. Who are you, master? The abbess asked, awestruck. I am Jing Zhen. If it's not too much trouble, may I stay here for a while? Of course, of course. That night's strange event earned Jing Zhen the unwavering trust of the abbess. From then on, no one in Siyuan Temple dared question her. Instead, they held her in deep reverence. Over the next 21 years, Jing Zhen remained at the temple. Though odd occurrences happened now and then, her presence seemed to keep any major trouble at bay. In time, her reputation spread far and wide. Chapter 2. A Growing Legend. As Jing Zhen's fame grew, Siyuan Temple saw an endless stream of visitors. Whether they were common folk or powerful elites, all they ever saw of her was a silhouette behind a screen. Her voice was gentle yet distant, as if she'd seen through the illusions of the world and kept everyone at arm's length. No one knew her true face, which only deepened her mystique. That is, until an unexpected visitor arrived and unraveled her secrets. He was Mr. Liu, a wealthy real estate tycoon. Years earlier, Liu had faced a business crisis and heard that Jing Zhen could predict fortunes. Intrigued, he visited her. Behind her screen, Jing Zhen offered him a few cryptic words of advice. Following her guidance, Liu bought a plot of land and struck it rich. From that moment, he was utterly devoted to her. But this time, Liu faced a tougher dilemma and wanted to speak with Jing Zhen face to face. On the day of his visit, he arrived at the temple with reverence and made his request. This humble nun does not meet outsiders, Jing Zhen replied evenly, declining as always. Master, I'm willing to donate $50 to the temple if you'd make an exception, Liu pressed. A brief silence followed from behind the screen. Come back in a week, Jing Zhen finally said. Liu nodded eagerly, his heart swelling with anticipation. On a whim, he decided to bring his daughter along next time, hoping Jing Zhen could offer insight into her future. A week later, Liu returned with his daughter, Crystal. Crystal was a tech-savvy young woman, always glued to her phone and tuned into the latest news. As they entered the temple, she glanced around cautiously. When they finally met Jing Zhen in person, Crystal noted her frail frame and the quiet dignity in her demeanor. Master, this is my daughter, Liu said briefly before diving into his business concerns. Time was short, so Liu and Jing Zhen discussed critical decisions for his company. But as they talked, Liu noticed Crystal acting strangely. She had slipped out her phone and was frantically searching something, her fingers flying across the screen. Liu shot her a look, signaling her to put it away and show respect. On the drive home, Liu couldn't hold back his curiosity. Hey, what were you up to back there, sneaking around on your phone? Dad, I'm just saying you might have wasted the $50. Crystal replied, her tone serious. What do you mean by that? Chapter 3, A Shocking Discovery. Look at this. Crystal handed him her phone, her eyes wide with disbelief. Dad, she whispered, I think I've seen her before. Seen who? Instead of answering, Crystal pointed to the screen. It showed a photo of a woman whose features eerily matched Jing Zhen's. That's her, Liu gasped, his blood running cold. Back home, the father and daughter couldn't shake their unease. They knew they had to act fast and contact the police. Sure enough, the authorities launched an investigation upon their tip. Soon after, Jing Zhen's true identity came to light. She was no holy. Nunch was a fugitive wanted for a murder committed 21 years ago. For 2 decades, she had evaded capture, drifting from place to place before settling in the remote Siwen temple. She cloaked herself in the guise of a spiritual master to hide her crimes. With Jing Zhen's arrest, the temple's aura of mystery and reverence crumbled overnight. Liu marveled at how close he'd come to being deceived, grateful for his daughter's sharp instincts that exposed Jing Zhen's web of lies. Chapter 4, The Crime of 21 Years Ago. Rewind to 21 years earlier. Back then, Jing Zhen was just a 28-year-old novice, nun named Liu Weting from Lianhua County, Jiangsu. At a small temple in Lianhua, she appeared devout on the surface but harbored dark ambitions. She grew close to a monk named Wang Yi, who claimed to be a man of faith but was anything but. Liu Weting, you went to see him again? An older nun asked one day, her voice tinged with concern. Master, he's just a brother from the nearby temple. We chant together, that's all. Liu Weting lied smoothly. In truth, she and Wang Yi were plotting something sinister. Wang Yi was ruthless, viewing religion as a convenient cover for his schemes. Liu Weting, I heard about a young nun from Longhua Temple in Sichuan, he whispered one day. Her family floated. What's your plan? Liu Weting asked, not yet grasping his intentions. You're from Sichuan, right? Go there, befriend her, and bring her here. We'll get her to cough up some cash. But what if I get caught? Don't worry, you're a woman, she won't suspect a thing. Driven by greed, they set their plan in motion. In June 2000, they targeted Wu, an 18-year-old novice nun, luring her to Lianhua with promises of friendship and guidance. Wu, naive and trusting, had no idea she was walking into a trap. Chapter 5, A Brutal Betrayal. One night, by the banks of the Lianhua River, the wind howled fiercely. Yue Ting and Wang Yi led Wu down a desolate path. "Master, why are we out here so late?" Wu asked, unease creeping into her voice as she stared at the dark river. Wang Yi's face hardened. Without warning, he pulled a thick rope from behind and looped it around Wu's neck, yanking it tight. Wu thrashed desperately, but the rope only tightened, choking off her air. Yue Ting stood nearby, watching coldly, not a trace of mercy in her eyes. "You've only got yourself to blame for trusting us," she muttered, as if bidding Wu farewell. Soon, Wu went limp. Wang Yi released the rope, smirking at the lifeless body. "Clean job, let's go." They dumped Wu's body into the river, letting the current carry it away. The corpse bobbed briefly before vanishing into the night. A detective who worked the case still recalls the scene vividly. "Even after 21 years, I can't forget that crime scene," he said. "The victim was strangled, her eyes wide open, frozen in terror and helplessness. When we found her body in the river, it was so bloated it was nearly unrecognizable." The murder rocked Lianhua County. Police launched a massive manhunt, but Yue Ting and Wang Yi had already vanished, disappearing like ghosts. No one could have guessed that Yue Ting would resurface as Jin Zhan, hiding in plain sight at Siyuan Temple for 21 years. But no matter how clever her disguise, she couldn't outrun justice forever. With help from police in Mianyang, Sichuan, authorities finally tracked her down. Chapter 6: The Masked Falls. That day, Siyuan Temple was filled with the usual haze of incense. Jin Zhenyu Yuang sat behind her screen, calmly advising a visitor. She seemed perfectly in control, unaware that her fate was closing in. "Master, someone's here for you," a young nun said softly. Yue Ting nodded, signaling for them to enter. Moments later, several plainclothes officers stepped inside. "Yue Ting, you're coming with us," the lead officer said, flashing his badge. Yue Ting's heart skipped a beat, sweat beading on her back. She rose slowly, forcing a smile, though her lips twitched. "Officers, what could you possibly want with this humble nun?" "Yue Ting, you know exactly why we're here. The murder in June 2000. Did you think you could hide forever?" In that moment, her carefully crafted facade collapsed. The serene Master Jin Zhan was gone, replaced by a cornered fugitive. Years of fear and guilt crashed over her like a tidal wave. There was nowhere left to run. At the police station, Yue Ting sat in the interrogation room, head bowed, fists clenched. She'd once believed her holy persona would shield her forever. Now, she knew the game was up. "I confess," she said at last, her voice heavy with defeat. "I'm Yue Ting. That night, Wang Yi and I tricked a young nun from Sichuan into coming to Jiangsu. We strangled her and threw her body in the river." "Why her? What did she ever do to you?" an officer asked, baffled. "She had money and was gullible," Yue Ting replied coldly. "Who else would we target?" Her careless words sent shivers through the room. The master once revered by so many was a monster in disguise. As Yue Ting's confession laid bare the truth, devotees were horrified. "We were so blind to trust her," they cried. The nuns of Siyuan Temple whispered among themselves, shaking their heads in disbelief. Those who'd once knelt before her now felt only fear and betrayal. The scandal destroyed the temple's reputation. Pilgrims who once flocked to its gates stopped coming, leaving it a hollow shell. Yue Ting, after 21 years on the run, was finally in custody. The search for her accomplice, Wang Yi, continues. Where could he be hiding, and what kind of life is he living now?